The palace yard was on fire. People screamed as smoke rose into the sky. Guards ran in all directions. Children cried. Mothers fell to their knees and begged the gods for mercy. At the center of it all stood a boy everyone once hated. Daniel. His hands shook as he raised his wrist. On it was a silver bracelet, old and dull. Yet now it was glowing like burning moonlight. The ground beneath him trembled. A loud sound, like thunder trapped inside the earth, rolled through the air. "Take it off," someone shouted. "He caused this," another voice screamed. Daniel's eyes were wide with fear, not pride. Tears ran down his dusty face as he looked around. He did not understand how he got here. He did not understand why the bracelet was glowing. He only knew one thing. If he failed, everyone would die. The glow grew brighter. The wind stopped. Then everything went silent. And in that silence, Daniel remembered the first day his life broke apart. Years earlier, in a small village near the River Omi, Daniel was just a normal boy. He laughed easily. He ran barefoot with other children. He believed the world was kind. Then, one rainy night, everything changed. His parents died within days of each other. A sickness came fast and left nothing behind. At just 18 years old, Daniel stood beside two fresh graves, holding back tears that burned his eyes. There was no money, no food, no place to stay. So Daniel packed his few clothes into a small bag and walked to his father's younger brother's house. Uncle Tunde lived in the next town with his wife Mirabel and their two children. Daniel hoped for love. He found something else. From the first day, Mirabel looked at him like he was a burden. Her smile was sharp and cold. "So you are the orphan," she said. "Fine, you can stay, but you will work." Work meant waking before sunrise. Work meant scrubbing floors until his fingers hurt. Work meant fetching water from the river again and again until his back ached. While her children dressed in clean uniforms and went to school, Daniel stayed behind. "School is not for lazy mouths," Mirabel said. "Food is." Hunger followed Daniel like a shadow. Some days he ate once, some days not at all. When he was slow, he was beaten. When he asked questions, he was insulted. Yet Daniel did not fight back. At night he lay on a thin mat and stared at the roof, whispering soft prayers into the darkness. "Please," he said, "do not let my heart become hard." Every morning, he hawked plantain in the market under the hot sun. People laughed at his torn clothes. Some pushed him aside, others cheated him of his money. But Daniel stayed polite. One day, on his way to fetch water from the river, his feet sore and his stomach empty, he saw an old woman by the riverbank. Her back was bent. Her hands shook as she tried to lift a heavy clay pot. Many people passed her by. Daniel stopped. "Grandmother," he said gently, "please let me help you." The old woman looked up. Her eyes were cloudy but kind. "You are a good boy," she said. "Help me then." Daniel lifted the pot with care and followed her to a small hut hidden by trees. When they reached it, the woman smiled and took his wrist. She slipped a silver bracelet onto it. "Wear this," she said. "Never remove it." Daniel blinked. "But grandmother, I did nothing special." She only smiled. As he turned to leave, he felt something strange, like warmth spreading through his arm. He did not know he had just been tested. He did not know his life had just changed. That evening, Mirabel noticed the bracelet. "Where did you steal that from?" she demanded. "I did not steal it," Daniel said calmly. "It was given to me." She slapped him, but the bracelet did not fall. That night, Daniel dreamed of flowing water and a voice that said, "Your heart has been seen." The next morning, something strange happened. A customer paid double for his plantain. A stranger gave him bread without asking. Even Uncle Tunde spoke kindly to him for the first time. Daniel was confused, and far away in the palace, the king had a dream that made him sit up in fear. He saw fire. He saw a boy with a glowing bracelet. He saw the fate of his people hanging by a thin thread. And the boy's face was one he had never seen before. The king called his guards at once. "Find him," he said, "before it is too late." As Daniel stood by the river that evening, the silver bracelet grew warm again. Then it began to glow, and somewhere deep beneath the ground, something ancient began to wake up. The glow from the bracelet faded as quickly as it came. Daniel stood by the river, breathing hard, his heart pounding like a drum. He stared at his wrist, turning it slowly. The silver bracelet looked normal again, old, quiet, harmless. If he had not felt the heat moments ago, he would have thought it was all his imagination. But the river was no longer calm. The water moved in slow circles, as if something deep beneath it was stirring. The air felt heavy. Even the birds had gone silent. Daniel stepped back. "I should go home," he whispered. As he walked away, he did not see the ripple in the water grow wider. He did not see the shadow move under the surface. He did not hear the low sound, like a breath held for too long. Back at Uncle Tunde's house, trouble was already waiting. Mirabelle stood in the yard with her arms crossed. Her eyes went straight to Daniel's wrist. "You are late," she said, "and that thing is still on your hand." Daniel lowered his head. "I am sorry." "Sorry does not cook food," she snapped. "Go and pound yam. Now." As Daniel worked, Mirabelle watched him closely. She did not like the bracelet. Since the day he brought it home, strange things had happened. Money came easily. People smiled at him. Even her children complained that Daniel was treated better by strangers than they were. Jealousy burned in her chest. That night, while Daniel slept, Mirabelle crept into the room with a knife. She reached for his wrist, ready to cut the bracelet off. The moment the blade touched the silver, a sharp pain shot through her hand. She screamed and dropped the knife. Daniel woke up, confused. "Auntie?" Mirabelle ran out of the room, her hand shaking, her heart racing. From that night on, fear replaced her anger. People gathered in shock as they marched through the dusty road, their armor shining under the sun. Children hid behind their mothers. Old men whispered prayers. Daniel watched from the corner of the market, his plantain basket on his head. A loud voice rang out, "By order of the king." Everyone froze. "We are searching for a boy," the guard continued, "a boy wearing a silver bracelet." Murmurs spread like fire. Daniel's chest tightened. Mirabelle's eyes lit up. She stepped forward quickly. "I know him," she shouted. "He lives in my house." Daniel felt the world tilt. Before he could run, hands grabbed his arms. The basket fell. Plantains rolled across the ground. "I did nothing," Daniel said, his voice shaking. The guards did not listen. People stared as he was dragged away. Some pointed. Some whispered. "That boy has always been strange," someone said. "I heard he brought bad luck," another added. No one defended him. As they walked, the bracelet grew warm again. At the palace gates, Daniel's fear grew. The walls were tall, the guards were stern. This was a place for kings, not unwanted boys. He was pushed into a wide hall where the king sat on a raised seat. The king's face was tired, his eyes sharp. "So," the king said slowly, "you are the boy from my dream." Daniel knelt at once. "Your Majesty, I am sorry if I have offended you." The king studied him. "Stand." Daniel obeyed. "Tell me," the king said, "where did you get that bracelet?" Daniel told the story of the old woman by the river. As he spoke, the king's expression changed from curiosity to deep concern. "The River Omi," the king whispered. He turned to his elders. "The stories are true." One elder nodded. "The river goddess tests the hearts of men. She rewards kindness, but her gifts are not small things." Daniel did not understand. The king looked back at him. "Boy, do you know what that bracelet means?" Daniel shook his head. Before the king could speak again, the ground shook. A loud boom echoed through the palace. Dust fell from the ceiling. People screamed. "The river," someone shouted. "The river is flooding the lower villages." The king stood up. "How is this possible? It has not rained." Another guard ran in. "Your Majesty, the water is rising fast. Homes are being swallowed." All eyes turned to Daniel. Fear filled the room. "He caused this." Mirabelle's voice rang out from behind. She had followed them. "Ever since he got that bracelet, strange things have happened," the elders murmured. Daniel stepped back, tears filling his eyes. "I did not do anything. Please believe me." But the bracelet began to glow again. Brighter than before. The floor cracked. The king raised his hand. "Enough." Silence fell. The king walked down from his seat and stood before Daniel. Whether you caused this or not, he said, you are now tied to it. He placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. If the river destroys my people, they will demand your life. Daniel's legs felt weak. Outside, screams grew louder as water rushed through the streets. The bracelet burned against his skin. And deep within the river, the goddess opened her eyes. The palace shook again. Dust fell from the high ceiling. The guards tightened their grip on their spears. Outside, the sound of rushing water grew louder, closer, angrier. Daniel's heart pounded so hard he thought everyone could hear it. Your Majesty, a guard cried as he ran back into the hall. The river has swallowed 3 streets already. People are climbing roofs. A woman screamed somewhere outside. Then another. Daniel felt weak. His knees trembled. The silver bracelet on his wrist burned like hot coal, yet it did not hurt. It felt alive. The king turned to the elders. We must act. One elder, tall and thin with white chalk on his forehead, nodded slowly. This is no normal flood. The River Omi has a will. It has been awakened. Another elder pointed at Daniel, and the boy is the key. Daniel stepped back. Please, he said, his voice small. I do not understand any of this. The king looked at him with a heavy gaze. You will. They rushed Daniel through the palace corridors. Servants moved aside quickly. Some stared at him with fear, others with anger. That is him, someone whispered. The cursed boy. Daniel's chest tightened with pain. Outside, the sun was still bright, but the air felt wrong. The wind moved in sudden bursts. Far away, the river roared like a giant beast. They led Daniel to the palace courtyard. The king raised his hand, and the crowd fell silent. My people, the king called out, we face a danger greater than spears or fire. The river has risen against us. Murmurs spread. The boy you see here is tied to this danger, the king continued, but he may also be our hope. Angry voices rose at once. Hope? He brought this. Give him to the river. Daniel's breath caught. Tears filled his eyes. The king raised his staff again. Enough! We will not act in fear. He turned to Daniel. You will come with us to the river. Daniel's heart dropped. Now? Yes, the king said, before more lives are lost. The journey to the river was chaos. Water flowed through the streets, shallow in some places, deep in others. People carried children on their backs. Old men leaned on sticks, struggling to walk. Homes made of mud had begun to crack and fall. Daniel saw a woman crying beside a broken wall. A child clung to her wrapper, shivering. I am sorry, Daniel whispered, though he did not know if she could hear him. The bracelet grew hotter. As they reached the riverbank, Daniel stopped breathing. The River Omi was no longer calm and brown. It had risen high, wide and wild. Waves crashed against the banks. Trees bent low. The water glowed faintly, like moonlight trapped beneath the surface. The elders stepped back in fear. This is the place, one whispered. The king nodded. Boy, step forward. Daniel's legs felt heavy, but he moved. The moment his foot touched the wet ground, the river went still. Dead still. The waves froze. The wind stopped. Even the cries behind him faded into silence. The bracelet blazed with light. A voice rose from the river, deep, clear, and powerful. Daniel. Everyone gasped. Daniel fell to his knees. Yes, he whispered. You were kind when no one was watching, the voice said. You helped without reward. You kept your heart clean when the world was cruel. The water rose, forming the shape of the old woman, only now she was tall, glowing, and terrible to behold. She is the goddess, an elder breathed. The goddess looked at the king. Your people have forgotten kindness. They take and take from the river. They pollute it. They show no respect. The king bowed low. We did not know. You knew, she replied calmly. You chose comfort over care. Daniel trembled. Please, he said, finding his voice. They are afraid. Do not destroy them. The goddess turned to him. Her eyes softened. You speak for those who hated you, she said. Why? Daniel swallowed. Because hate hurts everyone. Silence fell again. The river slowly lowered a little, but not enough. There is still a price, the goddess said. The bracelet binds you to me. Through you, balance can be restored. Daniel's heart raced. What must I do?" Before she could answer, a scream rang out. "The water!" someone shouted. "It's rising again." The river surged suddenly, stronger than before. The goddess's eyes flashed. The people's fear feeds the flood. The king turned to Daniel. "What do we do?" Daniel looked at the bracelet. It pulsed like a heartbeat. He closed his eyes. Images rushed into his mind. His parents' smiles, the old woman's kindness, Mirabelle's anger, the market, the children at school. Then a single thought became clear. "I must enter the river," Daniel said softly. The crowd gasped. "No!" the king shouted. "You will die." Daniel shook his head. "I do not think so." The goddess watched him closely. "If you step into the river," she said, "there is no turning back." Daniel stood. His legs shook, but his heart felt calm. "I am ready," he said. As he took his first step toward the glowing water, the bracelet flared brighter than ever before, and the river opened its arms. The moment Daniel stepped forward, the world seemed to stop breathing. The river parted, not like water pushed aside by force, but like a door opening slowly, gently, with purpose. Two tall walls of glowing water rose on either side, shining with a soft silver-blue light. The riverbed beneath was smooth and dry, as if it had been waiting for this moment all along. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some people fell to their knees. Others backed away in fear. A few stared with wide eyes, unable to speak. The king took a step forward. "Daniel," he called, "come back." Daniel did not turn around. For the first time in his life, he felt something stronger than fear. He felt chosen. The bracelet on his wrist no longer burned. Instead, it felt light, like it was part of him, like it had always belonged there. He walked into the river. Inside the river path, the air felt cool and clean. Soft light floated around Daniel like tiny stars. With every step, memories rose around him, playing like pictures in the air. He saw himself as a child, laughing as his father lifted him onto his shoulders. He saw his mother smiling, wiping his dusty feet after play. Then the images changed. He saw Mirabelle shouting. The slap, the hunger, the nights he cried quietly so no one would hear. Daniel stopped walking. His chest tightened. "Why did you show me this?" he asked, his voice echoing softly. The goddess's voice answered from everywhere and nowhere at once. "To remind you," she said, "of who you are and who you chose to remain." Daniel took a deep breath and continued. At the end of the river path stood the goddess, taller and brighter than before. She no longer looked like the old woman. She looked like flowing water shaped into a woman, powerful and calm. "You stand at the center of a bond," she said, "between humans and the river, between anger and mercy." Daniel bowed his head. "I do not want power. I only want the people to be safe." The goddess studied him closely. "Even those who hurt you?" Daniel hesitated. Images of Mirabelle filled his mind. Her sharp words, her cruel eyes. Then he remembered something else. Her fear. "Yes," Daniel said quietly. "Even them." For the first time, the goddess smiled. "Then listen carefully," she said. "The flood is not punishment alone. It is a warning. The people have taken without care for many years." The river answered with anger. She raised her hand, and the water around them shimmered. "You can calm the river," she continued, "but balance must be restored. The people must learn respect. And you, Daniel, will be the bridge." Daniel's heart pounded. "What does that mean?" "It means," the goddess said, "you will carry my mark. Through the bracelet, you will speak for the river. When humans forget, the bracelet will remind them." Daniel swallowed. "And if they refuse to listen?" The goddess's eyes darkened. "Then the river will rise again." Daniel closed his eyes. This was bigger than him, bigger than pain, bigger than fear. "I accept," he said. The moment the words left his mouth, the bracelet flared with blinding light. Outside the river, panic returned. The water walls began to shake. "What is happening?" someone cried. The king watched in horror as the glowing water trembled. "Hold fast," an elder shouted. "The choice is being made." Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the air. One wall of water collapsed. A powerful wave rushed toward the crowd. "Run!" the guards shouted. People scattered in every direction. The king stood his ground. Daniel, he cried again, if you can hear me, hurry. Inside the river, Daniel felt the shake. The people are afraid, he said urgently. They will be hurt. The goddess nodded. Fear spreads faster than water. She placed her glowing hand over Daniel's bracelet. Then it is time, she said. Speak. Daniel blinked. Speak how? From your heart, she replied. Daniel turned toward the opening of the river path. He could hear screams. He could feel the fear, like heavy rain, pressing against his chest. He took a deep breath and shouted, Please, do not be afraid. His voice echoed through the river and beyond it. Outside, people froze. They heard him, clear, strong, calm. I did not cause this flood, Daniel continued, but I will not run from it. The river is alive. It feels what we give it. If we show care, it will show mercy. The water slowed. The wave fell gently, like rain instead of a crash. People stared in disbelief. He's controlling it, someone whispered. No, an elder said softly. He's guiding it. The goddess watched Daniel closely. You speak with courage, she said, but words alone are not enough. She raised her hand again. From the river rose images, villagers dumping waste into the water, cutting trees without care, ignoring warnings from elders. The images shifted. Now they showed children learning, people cleaning the riverbanks, elders teaching respect. Choose, the goddess said. What future will you bind yourself to? Daniel's chest ached. If I choose the river, he asked, what happens to me? You will never be ordinary, she answered. You will be watched, you will be blamed, and you will be needed. Daniel thought of his life so far. He had never been ordinary. I choose the future, he said firmly, even if they hate me. The goddess nodded. So be it. The river roared once more, but this time it was not angry. It was powerful and controlled. The walls of water slowly lowered. The river returned to its banks. The flooding stopped. The flooding stopped. People stared in silence as the water settled, calm once more. Daniel stepped out of the river. The moment his feet touched the ground, the bracelet dimmed, becoming silver again. He swayed. The king rushed forward and caught him before he fell. You did it, the king whispered. You saved us. Daniel's eyes fluttered open. Is everyone safe? The king nodded. Yes, because of you. But before relief could settle, a sharp voice cut through the crowd. This is not over. Mirabelle stepped forward, her face pale but her eyes burning. He will bring disaster again, she shouted. He is not human, the crowd murmured. Fear returned like a shadow. Daniel looked at the people he had just saved and saw doubt in their eyes. The bracelet grew warm again. And far beneath the calm river, something stirred. Silence spread across the riverbank like thick fog. The water was calm now. The sky was clear. The danger had passed. Yet fear still lived in the hearts of the people. All eyes were on Daniel. Mirabelle stood in front of the crowd, her hands shaking but her voice sharp. He saved you today, she said loudly, but what about tomorrow? What happens when the river gets angry again? Will you wait until your children drown? The crowd murmured again. Daniel felt the warmth of the bracelet grow slowly, like a warning heartbeat. The king turned to Mirabelle, his voice firm. Enough. But Mirabelle did not stop. Years of jealousy, fear, and shame poured out of her like poison. This boy is not normal, she cried. Ever since he came to my house, nothing has been right. He brings strange luck, strange power. Today it is water. Tomorrow it could be fire. Some people nodded, others looked away. Daniel took a slow step forward. Please, he said softly, let me speak. The king raised his hand. Let him. Daniel faced the crowd. His legs shook, but he stood tall. I know many of you are afraid, he began. I would be afraid too. I am just a boy. I never asked for this bracelet. I never wanted power. He lifted his wrist so everyone could see the silver band. This bracelet did not come to me because I am special, he continued. It came because I helped someone when no one else would. The crowd grew quiet. Daniel looked at Mirabelle. His voice did not change. You are right, he said. Strange things began when I came to your house, but not because I am evil. He paused, then spoke with gentle honesty. They began because kindness met cruelty, and kindness did not break. Mirabel's face flushed. Daniel turned back to the people. I was hungry, I was beaten, I was denied school. Still, I did not hate. Not because I am strong, but because hate only brings more pain. Some people lowered their heads. The river is not our enemy, Daniel said. It only reflects us. When we hurt it, it hurts us back. When we respect it, it protects us. The bracelet pulsed once. Soft light spread across the ground. No water rose, no wind blew, only peace. An old woman stepped forward from the crowd, the same market woman who once cheated Daniel of his money. I saw him, she said, her voice shaking. I saw how he suffered. And still, he helped me carry my load when my leg failed. Another man spoke. He returned my lost coins when he could have kept them. A guard added quietly, he spoke to the river without anger. One by one, voices rose, not in fear, but in truth. Mirabel stepped back, her confidence fading. The king walked forward slowly and stood beside Daniel. My people, he said, today you witnessed something rare. He looked down at Daniel with respect. You saw power guided by mercy, courage guided by kindness. The king turned to the elders. What say you? The elder with white chalk stepped forward. The goddess chose well, he said. The boy is a bridge, not a weapon. The king nodded. Then he turned back to the people. This kingdom will not repay kindness with fear, he declared. Daniel did not destroy us. He saved us. A deep silence followed. Then someone bowed, then another. Soon many people knelt, not in worship, but in respect. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. Mirabel fell to her knees suddenly. The sound surprised everyone. I was afraid, she whispered. I was cruel because I was afraid. Her voice broke. I treated you like a slave, she said to Daniel. I took your youth, your joy. She bowed her head to the ground. Forgive me. The crowd gasped. Daniel stared at her. Memories flooded his mind, painful ones. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he stepped forward. I forgive you, he said simply. Mirabel looked up in shock. Not because you deserve it, Daniel continued gently, but because I do not want your hate to live inside me anymore. The bracelet grew warm, then cool. The goddess's voice echoed softly. Only Daniel and the elders heard it. The bond is complete. That night the kingdom did not sleep. Fires were lit. Drums sounded, not warning drums, but drums of survival and relief. People cleaned the riverbanks together. Elders spoke to children about respect for nature. For the first time in many years, the River Omi flowed quietly, happily. Daniel sat alone near the palace steps, watching the stars. The king approached him. You do not belong in the shadows anymore, the king said. Daniel stood quickly. Your Majesty. The king smiled, a real smile. Walk with me. They walked through the palace gardens, where flowers bent gently in the night breeze. You lost your parents too young, the king said softly, and you were given pain instead of care. Daniel nodded. This kingdom needs leaders with clean hearts, the king continued. Not those born into comfort, but those shaped by hardship. They stopped near a tall tree. I want to adopt you as my son, the king said. Daniel froze. My son. You will be educated, the king said. You will learn to read, to write, to rule wisely, not as a god, not as a weapon. He placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder, but as a servant of the people. Tears ran freely down Daniel's face. Yes, he whispered, I will try my best. The king nodded. That is all anyone can ask. Years passed. Daniel grew, not just in age, but in wisdom. He learned quickly. He listened more than he spoke. He never forgot the market, the river, or the nights of hunger. The bracelet never left his wrist. Sometimes it warmed him, sometimes it stayed quiet. The people learned too. They cared for the river, they taught kindness in schools. They told stories of the boy who was hated and chose mercy. Mirabel changed. She worked quietly, helping others without praise. Guilt humbled her, forgiveness freed her. And the River Omi, it flowed steady and clean. Children played near it again. One evening, as the sun set, Daniel stood by the river, the same place where everything began. The water shimmered gently. "Thank you," he whispered. The river rippled softly, like a smile. Daniel was once hated, but his bracelet did more than save a kingdom. It reminded everyone that a pure heart, no matter how broken, can change the world. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? Do well to let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.